stop what you're doing. No, really. Stop scrolling. Stop looking at anything else. Look up. Look around the room you're in right now. Notice how quiet it suddenly feels when you actually listen. That low hum in the background. That faint sound you can't quite place. The feeling that something shifted the moment I told you to pay attention. Good. Because stories like this don't like to be ignored. Before we begin, I need you to understand something very clearly. This is not a story you casually listen to. This is not background noise. And this is definitely not something you finish and walk away from unchanged. Tonight, I want you to imagine something. You're walking alone. It's late, later than you planned. The streets are empty in that uncomfortable way, not peaceful, just abandoned. Streetlights flicker. Your footsteps echo louder than they should. Every sound feels exaggerated, stretched, wrong. And then, you hear footsteps behind you, not rushed, not aggressive, slow, measured, matching your pace. You tell yourself it's nothing. You don't turn around, but you feel it, a presence, close enough that the air behind your neck feels colder. And then a voice speaks, calm, polite, almost gentle. Excuse me. You stop. You don't know why, but you do. When you turn around, you see her, a woman, standing perfectly still beneath the streetlight. She's wearing a long coat, too long for the weather, too neat for this hour of the night. Her posture is straight. Her hands rest calmly at her sides, and her face is covered by a mask, a simple surgical mask, the kind you've seen 1,000 times before. Nothing threatening, nothing strange, until she tilts her head slightly and looks directly at you. And she asks one question, a question so simple, it almost makes you smile. Am I beautiful? Pause. Take a breath, because whatever answer forms in your mind right now is wrong. This is not a story you can escape from. If you're still listening, subscribe, not because you want more stories, but because some stories don't end when the video ends. They follow you, they wait, and they listen, just like you are now, breathing. In the 1970s, Japan was changing faster than anyone could keep up with. Cities grew upward instead of outward. Neon lights replaced old wooden signs. Technology filled spaces once reserved for prayer and superstition. Ghost stories became jokes. Urban legends became something children whispered, nothing more. Fear was considered primitive. Belief was considered weakness. People said monsters belong to the past, and that's always when they come back, because legends don't die when you forget them. They return, stronger, hungrier. It started quietly. A rumor here, a missing child there. Parents noticed their children weren't coming home on time. Teachers noticed empty desks. And slowly, very slowly, people stopped letting their kids walk alone. Doors were locked earlier. Windows were shut tighter. Streets emptied before sunset. Police were called. Reports were filed. But every report sounded the same. A woman, a mask, and a question. Witnesses described her calmly approaching children, never chasing, never raising her voice, just stopping them and asking, "Am I beautiful?" The name came later, whispered first, then spoken aloud with fear clinging to every syllable. Kuchisake-Onna. Pause. The Slit-Mouthed Woman. They say she appears suddenly, not from shadows, not from alleys, just there, as if the street bends to make space for her. She wears a long coat. Her movements are slow, deliberate. Her eyes are empty, not angry, not sad, just waiting. She doesn't rush you, she doesn't threaten you. She asks her question like it matters, like your answer means everything. If you say yes, she lifts her hand, hooks her fingers into the edge of the mask, and pulls it down. What's underneath shouldn't exist. A mouth torn from ear to ear, skin split open unnaturally wide. Not a scream, not a snarl, a smile. She looks at you and asks again, "Am I still beautiful?" And before your mind can even process what you're seeing, it's over. If you say no, she doesn't ask twice. No hesitation, no warning, just sudden, brutal finality. Every answer leads to death. There is no correct response. Now imagine yourself standing there, streetlight flickering, heart pounding, voice stuck in your throat. She's waiting, and she will not leave until you answer. But monsters are never born monsters. Once she was human. Once she was admired. Once she was loved. They say she was obsessed with her beauty. People praised her. Men stared. Women envied. She married a respected samurai, a man of honor, feared and respected. When he left for war, she was alone. Loneliness turned into temptation, temptation into betrayal. And when her husband returned unexpectedly, he discovered the truth. They say he didn't shout, didn't scream. He simply looked at her, and in one smooth motion, he raised his blade. As blood filled her mouth and the world blurred, he asked her one final question. "Are you still beautiful now?" She died slowly, but hatred, vanity, rage, those things don't die so easily. Her spirit rose, still searching, still asking, still killing. And then she vanished. No ritual worked, no prayer stopped her. She simply disappeared. But legends don't leave, they travel. They wait for belief to fade. So let me ask you something. If you were alone tonight, and a masked woman stopped you on the street and asked if she was beautiful, what would you say, knowing there is no escape? You think the fear stopped there. You think once her name was spoken, once her story was told, it ended. It didn't. Because fear doesn't disappear. It spreads. At first, people in Japan tried to explain it away. Children missing. They blamed kidnappers. Witnesses describing a masked woman. They blamed hysteria. Police held press conferences. Officials smiled nervously. They told parents there was nothing to worry about. But parents stopped believing words. They believed patterns. Every child who vanished had been alone. Every witness described the same thing, the same calm voice, the same question. Schools started closing early. Teachers walked children home in groups. Playgrounds that once echoed with laughter sat silent, rusted, empty. At sunset, streets emptied like the city itself was holding its breath. And still, she walked. One boy said she stopped him near a convenience store. He said she bent down to his level. Her eyes were kind. That's what broke people. Not rage, not screams, kindness. "Am I beautiful?" she asked. The boy froze. He said her voice sounded like a mother speaking softly to a child. He nodded, and then he started screaming. When police arrived, there was blood on the pavement. So much blood it looked painted, but no body. Another report came from a teenage girl walking home with headphones on. She never heard the footsteps behind her. She felt a hand touch her shoulder. When she turned, she saw the mask first. She said, "No." Witnesses heard the scream. They never found her face intact. Fear stopped being private. It became collective. Parents slept by doors. Fathers walked children to school with weapons hidden under coats. Mothers whispered prayers they didn't believe in anymore. The government stepped in. They didn't call her a ghost. They called her a rumor. They told people to stay calm. But you can't calm fear once it learns how to breathe. Some said if you answered, maybe, she hesitated. Others said if you laughed, she disappeared. None of it worked. Every attempt ended the same. Blood, silence, absence, and somewhere in all that panic, people started asking the real question, why children? Why the innocent? Why the weak? The answer is buried in who she used to be. Before the mask, before the blade, before the question, she was admired, not loved. Admired, there is a difference. Love sees flaws, admiration feeds obsession. She learned early that her value came from how she looked. People praised her face, not her heart. Her beauty became her identity. When she married the samurai, she believed she had won. But war took him away, and loneliness rots the mind when beauty is all you have. The man who came into her life during that absence didn't love her either. He wanted what she represented. And when her husband returned, honor shattered into rage. The blade didn't just cut flesh, it destroyed her identity. Her mouth, the part that smiled, that spoke, that was admired, was torn open. As blood filled her throat, as pain erased thought, she realized something. Without beauty, she was nothing. That realization followed her into death, and death rejected her. So she came back, still asking, still desperate, still needing someone, anyone, to say yes. Children don't lie the way adults do. Children answer honestly. That's why she chooses them, because their answers hurt the most, because their fear is pure, and purity feeds her. Eventually, she stopped appearing. One night she was there, the next, gone. Authorities claimed victory. They said the panic had passed. But legends don't end. They migrate. Years later, people outside Japan began reporting sightings. A woman, a mask, a question, different streets, different languages, same fear. And now, you're listening to this. You've imagined her. You've heard her voice in your head. Do you know what that means? Legends don't need streets. They don't need bodies. They need attention. And you gave it. So tonight, when you walk somewhere alone, when footsteps sound a little too close, when someone stops you and asks a simple question, remember this. There is no right answer. And if you hear a calm voice behind you asking, "Am I beautiful?" don't answer, because she's already close enough to hear your breathing.